Hey coders, welcome back to another exciting video on my channel. If you are looking to learn HTML and CSS, but you don't know from what to start, then you are in the right place. In this video and previous videos and coming ones in this series, you'll be learning how you can transform a design file into an HTML and CSS UI. That means that you'll be able to build from scratch a web page, a component, or anything you like, without being worried how you can do that. So just follow along and let's get started. In this video, we will be learning today how to create a QR code. Okay, so this one is very basic one we'll do, and we will do as an extra tip, which maybe not for absolute beginner, but for anyone just looking at how to get this one more dynamic. Then in the last part of this video, we'll be covering that. We will be using a little bit of JavaScript. So don't worry if you don't know anything about HTML or CSS or even JavaScript, because we will take this one step by step. So first things first, we'll be using a challenge from online, so it's easy for you to access as well. And I will put the link in the description for you. So the website is called Friends and Mentor, and in this website you have a list of challenges and you can pick up anyone you want so you can practice. Okay, so today we will do together the QR code components. So go ahead, click the link and start your challenge. Okay, in these challenges it gives you a set of requirements, which is really good for you, because as any developer, development doesn't mean you just code. It means you need to understand first your requirements of the project and how you can read them properly, understand, and bring the concept in your mind on how to write your HTML and CSS in the better way. Okay, so there's no best way, just keep that in mind. There's no one is best. As long as your code is readable and it's easy to maintain, then you're doing great. Okay, so for today's video, the plus for this one is you don't need to have even experience and responsive for today. So this one is just a QR code which can fit in mobile and window as well. Okay, so just go ahead, start your challenge and download your starter. When you download the file, you'll get it as follows. So the file will have a folder for designs. So that's the designs we need to build. Okay, so this is the set, this is the desktop version, and this is the mobile version. And lucky for us today, they look the same. So we don't have to worry about responsive. We just have to make sure when we build it, it's really as per the design and should work fine. The next thing we have, if you go back, is the images. So they already give you some images you can use. Okay. Now, the second thing they give us is an index.html, so an HTML file that help you to start with, and also a README file. And this is very important, okay? So the README file, it will give you a set of instructions on what you have to do, okay? I'm usually using Visual Studio Code, so it's open up by default when I click that. So I'll just make this one bigger and close this. So they're saying your challenge is to build into this QR code component and get it looking as close as the design as possible. Okay, and the reason why they say that is if you're using a free version, you don't have access to Figma file. Okay, so you can't have access to the file that help you get the exact like font sizes or the colors exact and the spacing and also on. But you can use some extensions in your Chrome browser that can help you to get some space and all that stuff using rulers, and you can get color using color picker extension, and it will not be like pixel perfect as per the design, because of course you're just using external tools and you're not using the design file. But that should be okay for you, okay, to start with, because currently you're just learning how to build HTML and CSS. But for me in this video, I got the pro version, so I'll be really teaching you as well how you can debug the designs and transform it from just a scratch into a live HTML and CSS. Okay, and this is you can use any tool you like to help you complete the challenge. Okay, if you have something you would like to practice, feel free to give it a go. And the reason why they write that is, like, for you as a beginner, of course you're just learning HTML CSS because that's the basic. But for maybe experienced developers, they want to practice other libraries, which are third-party libraries, and like React or Vue or something like that. So they may want to build this component using those tools. Okay, but for us today as beginner, we'll be just using HTML and CSS. Now let's go back to my file, and then you have the style guide. And the style guide, which is amazing, is even if you don't have access to design file actually, so you have the list of the colors given to you, even the typography, they're giving you the overall font size for the content, and also the font family that we'll be using. Nice. So let's stay tuned. I'll download the Figma file and be back, and let's start developing. So I open up our design in the Figma file. So this is our design at the moment. This is the desktop version, and on the right side we have the mobile version. Okay, so it's very simple and easy. So basically you have a QR code wrapped in a blue background, and then you have a heading and a text, and then a card which holding that. Right, now let's open our project, and you can start from scratch, but for now I'll just use the start that they give us. So I'll just drag this file in there, and this is the index.html they give us to start with. So I'll just open up that, and because we are learning everything from scratch, I'll just remove all these things, we don't need them. This one I'll remove it for now, and later I'll put back and explain you why we need it. So I'll just comment it for now or remove it. And what else? I'll remove as well the content, so we build together everything from scratch. Nice. Okay, so for now I'll just say hello, and let's run my HTML in my browser. So there are two ways. The standard one is you can just go to your folder and go and click on your index.html and just double click on it, and it should open it in your default browser. So I'll open up my browser to make sure it's open up there, double click, and it's open up there. See, that's the path, and then that's my hello. Okay, the second option, because I'm using Visual Studio Code, I have an extension added in my Visual Studio Code called Live Server. So if I right click on my index.html, I have this option to open with Live Server. Okay, so I'll just click that, and that should run it for me. There we go. So it's running on a server, it's not coming from my local machine, and you can see my hello there. Now let me make this one big. Now the difference between these two is, again, if you saw my previous videos, you already know, is that when I do a change in here, let's now do hello one, and I click save. Okay, open up my browser again. You see this one which is coming from my local file? It's still hello. It didn't update it by itself. I have to go and refresh it by myself. Okay, then you can see hello one. If I go to the server one, I didn't refresh it, but it re-rendered for me everything by itself. So it will save me a lot of time, and that's why I'll stick with the server one in my site for today. Okay, now let's go back to our QR code and let's building. Now I know we have two levels. We have the main background, which have this color, right? And then we have the card. And usually you start from top level to down, so you don't miss anything. Okay, so I would go from background to the card wrapper to the image and so on. I'll keep going down. Okay, so that's how you start doing your building from scratch, so you don't forget or anything slips from your way, and you build the pixel perfect designs. Okay, so that's a tip for you. Don't try to go here, fix this, then go back, fix that, then go back and do the image and so on. So don't keep going back and forth in the layout of your design. Okay, take one layout, one side, either up to down or down to up, whatever direction you take, but follow it. Okay, that's a really good tip for you. Now let's go with background. So because we don't have anything on the page, the background color, I'll use it as the body tag in my HTML. Okay, so as you know, for HTML, if you just started, your HTML file starts with a doc type declaration, okay, to tell the browser that's an HTML. Then you have an HTML tag, okay, which open and close. Then everything else have to go between it. Okay, if anything outside of it, it will not work. Okay, then you have the head tag. Okay, and the head tag will help you to add some details, like for example, you have here the title and here this image, the link. These ones are these here. I'll show you. This one here, you see, this is your title here, friends admin to QR code, and that's your image icon there. Okay, that came from here. I can exactly just go and change this, just keep it my QR code, click save, go back to my browser, and you can see here my QR code. Okay, same thing for the image. If you want to change it to your own, you can just change again the image in there. the next thing, so that's for the head element, okay, and we'll add more things later in the video there. Then whatever content goes inside your browser that the customers will actually see will go between the body tags, okay. So body tags are siblings of the head tag, and these two are child of the HTML tag, okay, because they're inside HTML tag. Now let's remove this hello one and let's create a div element, okay, and that div element will hold the card of the QR code. So let me open the design again. Let me make it big, not too big. So that div will hold for me this card, the whole container, okay. So let's go back to my code. So that is the div. I'll give it a class which helps me to style it, okay. I'll call it QR code card, for example, and let's keep all lowercase so it's easy to type and use. So QR code card, okay. Now inside the QR code we have, let me open the design again, we have an image in there, and let me see what images they gave us in the folder. So if you go to images, so they give me this image already, okay. So it's hard coded for now, that's what we are building, but as an extra thing, as I said before, we'll make it dynamic as well, okay. So for now I know it's just an image, so we need an image tag to hold that for me. So I'll go here, under my QR code card we will have a child which is called an image tag, and the source, okay. So I have to put the link to the image, so the image is inside the images folder. So I do dot slash then images folder, so dot slash to access same level, okay. So dot slash will access images folder, and then inside the images folder I need the image of the QR code, okay. And then for standard for image tag you need an alt attribute. An alt attribute, what is good for is if the image doesn't load for some reason, or you have people that they are living with accessibility and they can't see, but they're using something called screen reader. They can't see the image, of course, but the screen reader will read it for them, okay. I'll say here QR code, okay, something which makes sense, and then I will close my image tag. Great. Now next thing I have, let me open again my design because that's my source of truth. I have a heading and I have some text, okay. So let me copy the text of the heading. Let me do this, and that will help me to copy. So this is my text. I'll copy and I will go back to my code and I'll put here, for example, an issue, for example, and I will put my heading there, okay. And let's add a class. So this one will target also this one with class. I'll say QR code heading, for example. You can call it anything you want. We'll add R here. And the next thing we had a text, which seems to be a standard text. Let me open the design again. If I click it, so when I click, you can see here on the right side it's giving me some details of my styling, and if you see here the font size is 15 pixel, okay. Let me make this one bigger so you guys can see it. Okay, it's only making my design big. I can't make the Figma itself big. So on the right it's giving me sets. So font size 15 pixels. I think if I remember that was the standard font size in the style guide. I'll open my style guide, go down, and yes, that is standard one, okay. So I'll just use a p tag. So usually the p tag should be having the default styling of your application, except you want something again different to that p tag, you just add a class and redesign it. Now let me copy the content and let's paste it. Another thing, when I was just learning development, I was really picking on keeping the text same. You don't have to do that really, just put HHH, whatever you need just to fill the content so you can design, okay, because you're not doing content here. I'll show you one website you can use just to copy a random content, which will make your life a bit easier. So it's called Lorem Ipsum, and if you go there, just open the website. I'll put the link in the description for you as well, so you can just copy content from here. And good thing it doesn't copy the content with style, it just copy the contents, okay. So you can fill your tests or your practices instead of keep trying to type everything by yourself, so that saves you time, okay. So let's save this now and go back to our browser and see what we have. So that's what we have at the moment. So we just have an image which is not working, and then we have, that's the attribute we added to it. So because the image is not displaying, you can see the alt text that we added. Okay, and why it's not working, somehow I did a typo here. I'll remove this, click save, now go back, and now my image is there. Okay, it's too big. Okay, so that's first thing. Then we have our heading is coming, then we have our text here. Great. Now let's start styling this. My browser currently is zoomed in 400. I'll make it normal so you can see how it looks like in real time. So that's how it is, right? And this is not what we want. That's just an HTML. So we need to create our CSS file and start designing as per the design we do have. So let's create our style file first. Let's go to my folder. I'll say create a new file, and let's call it style.css, right? And then I will have some reset styling, and the reset styling is, the purpose for it is that reset like paddings and margins and some spacings. So every browser have default settings, so I want to remove those, and that allow me to have more control of my designing data. Okay, so I want all paddings by default to be 0, all margins by default to be 0. I want my box sizing by default to be a border box. Again, if you don't know what that means, in short, what it means is, let me open the browser, and let's open, for example, the image. Okay, and now you learn also how to inspect. So you see the image there. So how it works, for example, let's see by default if the image height is 576 pixels, right? And then it have padding 10, and it have another border 10 and margin 10. Then the full height of my image will not be 576 pixels. It will become 606 pixels. You'll add 30 pixels because here is 10, here is 10, here is 10. Okay, but most of the time you don't need that. It will break your design, and most if you're doing responsive and you have complex layouts. So box sizing, when you set it to border box, what it does is, if this was 576 and you have padding 10, border 10, margin 10, to be 30 included inside that 576, it will be part of it. So still your image, all of it, the height will be 576 pixels. Okay, so that's why I'm doing this. Next thing is we need to import the font. Okay, and if you go to the style guide, if you remember, we have our font here. I can copy the link, or I can show you also how to Google it out, because you have to learn how to search things by yourself. So the font name is Outfit. Okay, so I will just go to the browser and I will say Outfit font Google. Okay, and that gives me the font here. So I'll just click there, and this is my font. Okay, now it have weights, if it's bold, italic, and so on. So in this design we only need 2 weights, 400 which is medium and 700 which is bold. Okay, so I'll go back to my browser and find 400, so that's a regular here, and I need 700. Okay, so this is good. So I have my outfit here, you can see on the right side it's 400 and 700, both of them are selected. I will just copy the CDN, I'll not use the font folder itself. So I'll just copy this here, go back to my code and go back to my HTML. And you remember we talked before about the head text. So we had before the title and the icon. I'll also add here my CDN for the font. Okay, so when I paste what I copied, you can see here we have 2 links used here, and that's just to make sure cross browsers the font is working. And then you have your actual font, so Google API, and we're using Outfit as family, and we're getting the fonts 400 and 700. Okay, I'll click save, then I go back to my browser again, and you have something in here which is the font family. That's how you write it in your CSS. I'll copy this and go back to my style file, and I'm saying everything will have this font. Okay, so this is my reset. Okay, now that's out of the way, let's go back to our index. So we created our style.css. but we need to import it inside our index.html, otherwise our styling will not work. Okay, so we come here and inside again the head, between the opening and closing head, I'll come inside here anywhere you like, create again a link tag. Okay, and you'll have rel means relation, and that will be style sheet. So I'm telling what I'm importing is a style sheet, okay, a CSS file. And then you have your ref, and that should point to your file. And our file, it is in the same root as my HTML. So I just have to do dot slash, and then I have my style.css. And my Visual Studio Code is helping me. And then I will close my link tag, okay? And that should work now. So next thing now is to design our card, okay? And what I will do first, I'll just give a background color to the body. Okay, let's go back to our Figma and see what color they're using. Where's my Figma? Here it is. So I'll click outside, and that is the background color they're using on the right side. You see there? So I'll just copy that and go to my Visual Studio Code. I'll say background color, or you can even use just background itself, and paste my color. Okay, go back to my browser and let me remove this, and let's inspect the body tag, and it's not working. Okay, now let's go back to our browser and see why it's not working. And the reason why it didn't work is because of a spelling mistake. There is an extra opening code here inside the link, so I have to remove that, and then click save, and then go back to my browser, and there we go. You can see that bluish background. Next thing is the card itself. So I will click on my card, and you can see the Figma is saying that the width, you can see W down, so the width is 320 pixels. As well, if you see, I will click it, and on the right side is saying me also the width is 320 pixels. Okay, also the background color is white, and also you see these curved corners here. Okay, it is a border radius which is 20 pixels. Okay, let's do all this. I'll go back and I'll copy my class name of the card, go to my style file, dot my class name. Okay, so we said the width is 320 pixels, and the background color is white, so FFF, and the border radius, which is the curved corners, let me see how much it was, 20 pixels. Okay, and also have something called box shadow. And what is a box shadow? Is the shade, you'll not see it clearly, but it has like some shade beneath it and around it here. Okay, which is very light one. So let me click again here, and I'll copy that box shadow value and also add the border radius. So I'll go back to my card. So border is 20 pixels, and box shadow is this one. So it's a black color, very light, that's why we can't see it, we barely see it in the design, but it is there. Okay, and this is are the values. If you don't know much about box shadows, just feel free to look at it online so you can understand it properly. And also there are online generators, like it can help you to generate shadows from colors and attribute with very nice visuals. Okay, now I'll go back to my browser, and that's my card. Okay, you can see it's curved, there's a small shade there, but you can see the cut is sticking to the left, the image is still coming out. Okay, so first thing, I want my card to be in the middle of the page. Okay, and the way you do that, we can just go here to my card, I'll give it margin left auto and margin right auto, and this one will vertically center it for me. Okay, open the browser and go there, and there we go, it is in the middle. Okay, now the next thing is I'll just push it a little bit from up, and let's see here, I'll click my card and hover on top, so you can see 152, that's how much far it is. So I'll just go to my code again, and I'll say margin top 152 pixels. Okay, Next thing is the spacing. So if I go to my card, you can see that there's a space around my content inside the card. Okay, so that's called padding we need. So that's my card. I'll just hover. I'll try to find out a way to find it. So maybe I'll click on my image, and you see I have 16 on the right, 16 on the top, and 16 on the left. So I presume also down should be 16 as well. So I'll just go here and do padding 16 pixels. Click save, go back to my browser, open my site, and you can see there's a spacing, okay, all around my content. Now my card, I think it's done. Now I have to go inside, and we start on the top level again. So we have the image. So the image is going out, but from the design we know the image is full width. So I'm not going to give width of image 288, but I will say the image, whatever it is, I want it to fit my card. So the way we can do that, let's see if you have any class. So we don't have a class. So what I will do, I will say any image tag inside this class. So how we do that? We go to our style file, dot class name, that's my card, space, and then image. Okay, and let's say you have more images there, and we know this one is special. It is a direct image. If you see here, it's like direct image of my div. It's direct child. Okay, so I will say like this. That's mean direct, and then image. And then I'll say this image, because I inline block, I need to make it a block. Otherwise, it will not read from me the width. Okay, so and then the width I'll say is 100%. So it fits my block, okay, of the card. Go back to the browser, and there it is. You see, the image has fit now. And the reason why I'll go and inspect it, my image, there it is, and does have display block and width 100%. If I remove display block and width 100%, it will come out. See that? Now let me put that back. Good. Now next thing is the spacing before we move here. So we click on the image, then on my text I'll just hover, so you can see it's 24 pixels. So I'll go back to my card, I'll say margin bottom is 24 pixels. Okay, now next thing is my heading. So it has a class. I'll just do this, copy it, and then come here, dot my class name, and let's go back to our design. Click on my font there, and then you see all the stylings on the right side. So the color, it's a dark navy color. Okay, the font size is 22 pixels, and the font weight is 700. Okay, now let's go back here. I'll say color navy, dark navy, font weight is 700. And if I remember well, the font size was 22 pixels. Let me confirm. Yeah, 22 pixels. Nice. Okay, now click save and go back to my browser, and there it is. Okay, now it looks nice. The thing you will notice here that the text is centered, and everything, the heading and the text here down here. So what I will do, I'll go to main card, I will say text center for everything. So let's go to my main card. I'll say text align center. Click save, go back to my browser, and there we go. Everything is centered. Okay, that looks very nice. Now next thing is the spacing between here and there. Okay, now the spacing is how much. I'll click on my heading, then I hover on the text down, so it's 16 pixels. And I'll go back here, I'll say margin bottom 16 pixels. Okay, go back to my browser, and there it is. Okay, now next thing is this text here, and the text here, it have a light color, and then it have font size is 15 pixels, which is, if you remember in the style guide, it was a standard font size. Okay, here we go. So that means it can go in the body tag. So all the normal content will have font size of 15 pixels. Okay, so that will do for me the font size. Now the color it is like very grayish color. So I'll just copy this color here, and the font weight is 400. Okay, and that will be for everything. Usually that's the regular font, so I will do here by default also font weight will be 400 for everything until something is different, like in the heading we changed it here. Right now what I can do, I'll say the card, QR code card, and the P tag inside there, the color is the gray color. Now open up my browser, where is it? Go back there, there we go. Okay, that looks very nice. Now the only thing I can see, this one is too much sticking to the bottom, and here there is a space which is 40 pixels. We added before 16, so what I will do, I will go back to my card, you remember here, so I will say 16 on the top, 16 on the right, 40 on the bottom, and 16 on the left. Go back to our browser, and there it is. So this, it's done. And if I go and click on this little icon here and keep resizing, you can see my card is just, it's fitting. Okay, only thing you see that it's like the whole browser is shrinking. Okay, and reason why, because in the index HTML, remember we commented or removed these links, we have to put them back, and that means that this website should work in the responsive. Okay, so we have to keep the meta tag of the viewport. Okay, and in there you're saying width is the device width. Okay, whatever width of your app will be the device width. Okay, and the scale will be 1. Okay, so that's what does for the responsive. I go back to my browser, and now you see it's not like the whole website is shrinking. Okay, my card now is just working, and that's why in the requirement is say, okay, if you're not having experience with responsive, that should work for you, because this one will just fit. It's just small card in the middle. So we are done with our challenge. If you take your phone and scan this, it should pump something in your phone, and that usually will take you to the challenge itself, because we took the image from them. Now let's see how we can make this dynamic. Now let's say if you want to make this on dynamic, so there are ready APIs for you. You can just import them and use them easily. One of them is the chart.google API. Okay, and all what you have to do is just copy this link and add some values, and that's it, and it should work. It's very simple, very straightforward. So how we can do that, I'll go back to our code, and here instead of having hard-coded one, I will remove this, then I will put the link. Okay, so this one is the one coming from the Google API one. Okay, and for this one, it's just an API endpoint. Okay, pointed to chart, and then inside this SHL equal, so this one here, it will just print for you hello world. So if you scan it on your phone, it just will print for you hello world. Okay, and that's mean in this section you can write whatever you want. If you want to take it to a website, if you want anything, you just change it there. So I'll click save, for example, for this one, open the browser and go to my website, and there, see, it's coming. Okay, now if you scan this on your phone, you should see hello world coming. Right now, let's say I wanted to take to google.com. Okay, or what I can do is just go back to my code and write, for example, google.com. Okay, click save, and if I go back to my browser, okay, you see it's like slightly changed. If you see that flickering, now try to scan it in your phone, and that should pop for you a link to go to google.com. That's it for today's video. If you're looking into option how to make this on dynamic, where the customer write in a text field some website or message and can show it, just let me know. I will be sharing a video later for this one. I'm just not doing today for this recording, because this video meant to be just a basic HTML CSS. But of course, yeah, if you want it and you need it and you want to understand it, just let me know, and I'll create a full video on how to make dynamic one using JavaScript. And also for your reference, I'll add all these links for you in the description. It's easy for you to find it.